Kyle Morrison walked through the long metal hallway of the Galactic Council ship. His black suit was clean and pressed. His hair was neat. He carried a small briefcase with Earth's official papers inside. Behind him walked two other humans. Lisa. Grant wore her blue military uniform with shiny buttons. Jake Coleman had on a simple gray suit and thick glasses. The three humans looked small next to the alien creatures they passed. Some aliens were twice as tall as humans. Others had 4 arms or strange-colored skin. A few had tentacles instead of legs. Kyle had been Earth's ambassador for 3 years now. He was used to being the smallest person in the room. The meeting room was huge. The ceiling was so high that Kyle could barely see the top. Round tables were arranged in a circle. Each table had different colored lights to show which species sat there. The human table was small and had white lights. It was in the back corner, where no one would notice it. Kyle took his seat. Lisa sat on his right side. Jake sat on his left. Around them, dozens of alien species filled the other tables. Some whispered to each other in languages that sounded like music. Others made clicking sounds with their claws. A few just stared at the humans with their big eyes. The Zephyrian table was in the center of the room. It was the biggest table with the brightest lights. High Commander Vexthal sat in the middle chair. He was 9 feet tall with gray skin and yellow eyes. His uniform was covered in medals and ribbons. Other Zephyrians sat around him. They all looked mean and angry. A small blue alien walked to the center of the room. It spoke in a high voice that echoed off the walls. Today we discussed the mining rights in the Outer Rim territories. The Zephyrian Empire has made a claim. The humans want to keep their colonies there. We will hear both sides. Kyle stood up. His voice was calm and steady. Thank you. Earth has 3 colonies in the Outer Rim. New Austin, Horizon Station, and New Eden. We built these colonies 20 years ago. We found empty planets with no life on them. We followed all the rules. We registered our claims with the Galactic Council. Our people live there now. They have farms and families. Some aliens nodded. Others looked bored. The Zephyrians just stared at Kyle with cold eyes. High Commander Vexthal stood up. When he moved, his medals made soft ringing sounds. The Zephyrian Empire is old. We have been in space for 1,000 years. These worlds were ours, long before humans even knew how to fly. We left them empty for a reason. Now we need them back. Kyle looked at his papers. Our records show no Zephyrian claims on these worlds. The Galactic Council has no record of any claims either. These planets have been open territory for 50 years. Vexthal's yellow eyes got brighter. Records can be wrong. The Zephyrian Empire is strong. We have conquered many worlds. We have defeated many enemies. What we say is true becomes true. The room got very quiet. Kyle could hear his own heartbeat. Lisa's hand moved closer to her weapon. Jake pushed his glasses up his nose. The other aliens at nearby tables started to look nervous. Commander, Kyle said slowly, are you saying you want to take our colonies by force? Vexthal laughed. It was a harsh sound like metal scraping on stone. Force? Look around you, human. Your species is young. You are weak. You are pathetically small in number. We have 1,000 ships for every one of yours. We have soldiers who have fought in 100 wars. What do you have? Farmers and miners playing at being warriors. Other Zephyrians at the table started laughing too. Some aliens from other species joined in. Kyle noticed that the smarter aliens stayed quiet. They watched everything but said nothing. So you are threatening us, Kyle said. It was not a question. I am stating facts, Vexthal replied. Your colonies are built on our worlds. You will leave them. You will take your people and go back to your little blue planet. If you do not, We will remove you ourselves. Kyle closed his briefcase. The sound was loud in the quiet room. I see. And what if we refuse? Vexthel's smile showed sharp teeth. Then we will demonstrate why the galaxy fears the Zephyrian Armada. We will show you what happens to species who stand in our way. Your colonies will burn. Your ships will be destroyed. Your people will learn the price of defying us. Lisa started to stand up. Kyle put a hand on her arm. She sat back down, but her face was red with anger. Jake was writing notes very fast. His pen made small scratching sounds on the paper. Commander Vexthel, Kyle said in the same calm voice, I want to make sure I understand. You are officially declaring war on the human species. You are threatening to attack our colonies and kill our people. You are doing this in front of the entire Galactic Council as witnesses. Call it what you want, Vexthel said. The result will be the same. Your species will learn its place in the galaxy. That place is beneath us. Kyle stood up. He looked small next to the giant alien, but his voice was steady. Sir, I believe you have made a serious error in judgment. But since you have chosen this path, I will relay your declaration to Earth Command. I will tell them exactly what you said here today. He picked up his briefcase. Good luck, Commander. You are going to need it. The three humans walked out of the room. Behind them, the Zephyrians were still laughing. Other aliens whispered to each other. Some looked worried. A few species that had been conquered by the Zephyrians before watched the humans leave with something that might have been Hope Dot. In the hallway, Lisa grabbed Kyle's arm. Are we really going to fight them? They have thousands of ships. We have maybe 100. Kyle looked at her with tired eyes. Lisa, they have no idea what they just did. They think they know about humans because they read our public files. They think we are soft because we talk about peace. But we do want peace, Jake said. Yes, Kyle replied. But wanting peace and being unable to fight are two very different things. The Zephyrians are about to learn that lesson the hard way. As they walked back to their small human ship, Kyle was already thinking about the message he would send to Earth. The message that would change everything. The message that would wake up something the galaxy had never seen before. Behind them, High Commander Vexthel was planning his easy victory over the weak humans. He had no idea that he had just made the biggest mistake in Zephyrian history. The message from Kyle Morrison reached Earth 6 days later. It was marked with the highest security codes. Red lights flashed on computers across the planet. Phones rang in the middle of the night. Important people were woken up and told to report to their offices immediately. President Maria Santos sat in the underground war room beneath the White House. The room was filled with screens showing star maps and ship positions. Around a long table sat the most powerful people in the human military. Admiral Ben Crawford commanded the space fleet. General Amy Richardson led the ground forces. Director Peter Hayes ran the Colonial Defense Program. Let me make sure I understand this correctly, President Santos said. She looked tired, but her voice was sharp. The Zephyrians have declared war on us. They plan to attack our colonies and kill our people. They did this in front of the entire Galactic Council. Admiral Crawford nodded. Yes, ma'am. Ambassador Morrison's report is very clear. The Zephyrians think we are weak. They believe they can defeat us easily. General Richardson pulled up a file on her tablet. The Zephyrians have studied our public military records. They know about our regular fleet. They know about our colonial guard units. They think that is all we have. But it is not all we have, Director Hayes said quietly. The room got very quiet. Everyone knew what Hayes meant. For 30 years, since first contact with alien species, Earth had been preparing for this day. The day when diplomacy would fail, and humanity would have to fight for survival. President Santos pressed a button on the table. The lights dimmed. A new screen lowered from the ceiling. It showed files marked with skull symbols and the words, "Classified beyond top secret." "Project Prometheus," Admiral Crawford said. "Ghost Fleet Initiative. Operation Fenrir." The Zephyrians know nothing about these programs. The screen showed pictures of ships that looked nothing like the vessels in Earth's public fleet. These ships were black and sleek. They had no running lights. Their hulls were covered in strange materials that seemed to bend light around them. "How many ships do we have in the Ghost Fleet?" President Santos asked. 2,000, ma'am," Admiral Crawford replied. "All fully crewed and ready for combat. They have been hiding in deep space for years, waiting for this moment." General Richardson stood up and walked to the screen. "The Zephyrians think human. Soldiers are soft. They have seen our peacekeeping forces and our colonial guards. They think all human military units are like that." She pressed a button, and new pictures appeared. These showed soldiers in black armor that covered their entire bodies. Their faces were hidden behind helmets with glowing red eyes. They carried weapons that looked like they belonged in a nightmare. "The Shadow Corps," General Richardson said. 50,000 soldiers trained from birth to fight in space. They know every dirty trick humans have ever invented. They have studied every war humanity has ever fought. They are the best killers our species has ever produced. Director Hayes opened another file. Operation Fenrir is our colonial defense plan. Every human colony in space has been preparing for war. The Zephyrians think they will attack defenseless farmers and miners. They will be wrong. The screen showed peaceful-looking colony worlds. Then it showed the same worlds with hidden weapons, rising from the ground. Gun turrets emerged from fake buildings. Missile launchers popped up from crop fields. Ordinary colonists put on military gear and became soldiers. Each colony has enough firepower to hold off a fleet, Hayes explained. The colonists have been training for years. They know how to fight. They know how to make the enemy pay for every inch of ground. President Santos looked around the table. "What about our allies? Will any of the other species help us?" "Admiral." Crawford shook his head. "No, ma'am. The Zephyrians are too powerful. The other species are afraid of them. They will not risk their own worlds to help us." "So we fight alone," President Santos said. "We always knew it would come to this," General Richardson replied. "Humans have always fought alone. It is what we do best." The president stood up. "Very. Well, I am authorizing the activation of all black projects. Wake up the Ghost Fleet. Deploy the Shadow Corps. Send the activation codes to all colonies." She looked at each person around the table. "The Zephyrians want to see what humans are really capable of. Let us show them." Across human space, secret codes were transmitted to hidden bases. On Luna, Admiral Susan Clark received orders to take the Ghost Fleet out of hiding. Her ships had been waiting in the dark between stars for 15 years. Now it was time to hunt. On Mars, Colonel Tony Martinez got the signal he had been expecting his whole career. The Shadow Corps was going to war. His soldiers had trained for this moment since they were children. They were ready. In the outer colonies, regular people got messages on their private communicators. Steve Turner was fixing his fence on New Austin when his device beeped. He looked at the message and nodded. He had been a soldier once, before becoming a rancher. Now he was a soldier again. Nancy Phillips was working in the mines on Horizon Station when her device chimed. She read the message and smiled grimly. She had been waiting for this day for 20 years. The mining equipment she worked with every day could easily be turned into weapons of war. The Zephyrians intercepted some of the human communications. They laughed at messages like, "The dogs are loose," and "Release the hounds." They thought humans were being emotional and dramatic. They did not understand that these were ancient military codes dating back to Earth's bloodiest wars. High. Commander Vexthil received reports that human ships were moving in strange patterns. Some vessels seemed to disappear from sensors entirely. Others changed course without explanation. His advisors told him the humans were probably running away in panic. "Let them run," Vexthil said. "It will not save them. We will hunt them down wherever they hide." He had no idea that the humans were not running away. They were taking positions. They were preparing to fight a war unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The Zephyrians thought they were dealing with a weak species that would surrender quickly. They were about to discover that humans were the most dangerous creatures in the galaxy, and humanity was about to show them why Earth was the only planet in the universe where the dominant species had evolved by hunting other apex predators. The war was about to begin, and the Zephyrians had no idea what they had awakened. The Zephyrian war fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the New Eden system. 500 ships appeared in flashes of blue light. They were massive vessels with thick armor and heavy weapons. Each ship was painted in the red and gold colors of the Zephyrian Empire. Commander Zixter stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Wrath of Empire. He was young for a Zephyrian commander, only 200 years old. This was his first major battle, and he wanted to make his uncle, High Commander Vexthil, proud. "Report," Zixter ordered. His tactical officer, a thin Zephyrian with scarred hands, checked his instruments. "Sir, we have 500 ships ready for battle. The human colony of New Eden is directly ahead. Long-range sensors show a small defense force waiting for us." Zixter looked at the main screen. New Eden was a beautiful world with green continents and blue oceans. It looked peaceful and defenseless. "How many human ships?" 13 ships, sir. 1 light cruiser and 12 smaller vessels. They are broadcasting on all frequencies." "Put them on screen." The image changed to show a human ship. It was small compared to the Zephyrian vessels. The hull was dented and scratched. It looked like it had been in many battles before. A human voice came through the speakers. "This is Captain Rick Stone of the human vessel Defiance. You are entering human space without permission. I am ordered to give you one final warning. Turn around and leave this system immediately. This is your last chance to avoid a war." Zixter laughed. His crew laughed with him. 1 ship against 500. The humans must be insane. The tactical officer shook his head. "Sir, I am reading something strange. The human ships are not where they appear to be. The sensors are getting confused readings." "Ignore it," Zixter said. "Human technology is primitive. Their sensors are probably broken." On the Defiance, Captain Rick Stone watched the Zephyrian fleet through his ship's cameras. He was a tall man with gray hair and scars on his face. He had been fighting in space for 30 years. He knew this would be his last battle. "Captain," his weapons officer said, "they are not responding to our warning." "I did not think they would," Stone replied. "Send the message to Earth Command. Tell them the trap is ready." His communications officer, a young woman named Betty Ross, pressed buttons on her console. "Message sent, sir. Earth Command confirms. Operation Fenrir is a go." Stone looked around his bridge. His crew was small but experienced. They had all volunteered for this mission. They all knew what it meant. "Ladies and gentlemen, today we make history. Today we show the galaxy what humans are really made of." The Zephyrian fleet moved forward. Their ships formed a battle line that stretched across space. Their weapons powered up. Energy discharges created a light show that could be seen from the planet below. "Open fire," Zixter ordered. Hundreds of energy beams and missiles flew toward the human ships. The space around New Eden lit up like a star. The Zephyrian weapons were powerful enough to crack planets. Surely the tiny human fleet would be destroyed in seconds. But the human ships were not where they appeared to be. The weapons passed through empty space. The human vessels flickered and reappeared in different positions. They moved in ways that should have been impossible for ships of their size. "What happened?" Zixter demanded. "Why did we miss?" "Sir, the humans are using some kind of stealth technology. They are not where our sensors say they are." "Then target them visually." The human ships began to fight back. Their weapons were different from anything the Zephyrians had seen before. Instead of energy beams, they fired physical projectiles that moved at incredible speeds. The projectiles punched through Zephyrian armor like it was made of paper. The Defiance charged straight at the Zephyrian battle line. Captain Stone stood on his bridge as explosions rocked his ship. "All power to weapons. Give them everything we have." The small human ship fired its guns as fast as they could cycle. Each shot hit a different Zephyrian vessel. The larger ships were not seriously damaged, but they were surprised by the accuracy of the human weapons. "How are they hitting us?" Zixter shouted. "We are jamming their sensors." "Sir, I think they are using optical targeting. They are aiming by sight, not by computer." More human ships joined the battle. They darted between the Zephyrian vessels like insects. Their weapons were smaller, but they fired much faster. The Zephyrians began to take damage, but the humans were outnumbered. One by one, their ships began to take critical hits. The Defiance was burning from a dozen wounds. Half of Captain Stone's crew was dead or injured. "Captain," Betty Ross called out, "we have lost main power. Life support is failing." Stone looked at his ship's status display. Red lights flashed everywhere. The Defiance was dying. "It is time," he said quietly. He activated a special switch on his command chair. Throughout the ship, his crew did the same thing. They had practiced this moment many times. They all knew what came next. "Attention Zephyrian fleet," Stone broadcast. "This is Captain Rick Stone. You wanted to fight humans. You wanted to see what we are made of. Congratulations. You just declared war on the most deadly species alive. You should have listened to our warnings." The Defiance began to glow with a strange light. Energy built up in its damaged hull. The other human ships were doing the same thing. They were not trying to escape. They were preparing to explode. "Sir," the Zephyrian tactical officer said, "the human ships are overloading their power cores. They are going to self-destruct. Why would they do that?" Zixter asked. He got his answer a moment later. The human ships exploded in brilliant flashes of light. But these were not normal explosions. Each blast sent out a wave of strange energy that washed over the Zephyrian fleet. The energy did not damage the Zephyrian ships. Instead, it did something much worse. It painted them with a signal that could be detected across the galaxy. Every Zephyrian vessel now carried a beacon that would mark them as targets. "What was that?" Zixter demanded. "Unknown, sir. The energy pulse has marked all our ships with some kind of quantum signature. I cannot remove it." Zixter looked at the space where the human ships had been. Now there was only debris and the fading glow of strange energy. "Send a message to High Command. Tell them we have destroyed the human defense fleet. New Eden is ours." But as he spoke, he felt a chill of fear. The humans had fought differently than any enemy he had ever faced. They had not tried to win. They had tried to hurt the Zephyrians as much as possible before they died, and their final act had been to mark every Zephyrian ship with a target that could be seen from across the galaxy. Zixter did not know what that meant, but he had a feeling he was about to find out that, in the depths of space, hidden sensors detected the quantum beacons. Signals traveled faster than light to ships that had been waiting in the darkness for years. The ghost fleet had found its prey. The hunt was about to begin. 3 days after the battle at New Eden, High Commander Vexthal received the first disturbing report. A Zephyrian patrol fleet had vanished near the human trade route between Sol and Alpha Centauri. 50 ships had simply disappeared without sending a distress signal. What do you mean they vanished? Vexthal asked his intelligence officer. The officer, a nervous Zephyrian named Kexdal, checked his datapad twice before answering. Sir, the patrol was there one moment and gone the next. We found debris fields with quantum signatures we do not recognize. The metal was torn apart in ways our weapons cannot do. Vexthal dismissed the report as a fluke. Humans were weak. They could not possibly destroy 50 Zephyrian warships. But over the next 2 days, more reports came in. Fleets were disappearing all across human space. Raiders that had been attacking human merchant ships were found floating in pieces on the ice. 4th day, Vexthal received a message that made his blood run cold. Commander Zixter's Victory fleet at New Eden had been attacked. Only 3 ships escaped. The rest were destroyed by an enemy that never appeared on sensors. This is impossible, Vexthal said. Humans do not have the technology to do this. On the prison planet of Kepler 442b, Dr. Thane Kellick sat in his cell reading reports on a stolen datapad. He was a tall man with kind eyes and gentle hands. He had been captured 3 months ago while studying alien plants on a remote world. The Zephyrians were keeping him as a prize, a human scientist they could study. The guards outside his cell were talking loudly about the missing fleets. They were scared and angry. Kellick smiled as he listened to their conversations. They had no idea what was happening to their military forces. A guard captain named Vorthak entered the cell block. He was a large Zephyrian with a bad temper. Human, you will explain what your species is doing to our ships. Kellick looked up from his datapad. What makes you think I know anything about military operations? I am a botanist. I study plants. Do not lie to me. Vorthak grabbed Kellick by the shirt and lifted him off the ground. Your people are using some kind of weapon we cannot detect. Tell me what it is. Kellick smiled calmly. Captain, I think you are confused about something important. You think you understand humans because you read our public files. You think you know what we are capable of because you have seen our civilian populations. He was still smiling when Vorthak threw him against the wall. You think this is funny? Your species is about to be extinct. No, Kellick said as he got back to his feet. Your species is about to learn what humans really are, and it is going to terrify you. The captain raised his hand to strike again, but Kellick continued talking. Tell me, Captain, what do you know about Earth's history? What do you know about how humans evolved? You are weak prey animals, Vorthak said. You have no claws, no fangs, no armor. You are soft and pathetic. Kellick laughed. Captain, humans are not prey animals. We are persistence hunters. We are the species that other apex predators run away from. On Earth, we hunted creatures 10 times our size by chasing them until they collapsed from exhaustion. The captain looked confused. That is impossible. Predators do not work that way. Most predators do not, Kellick agreed, but humans do. We are the only species that evolved to hunt other hunters. We are the thing that makes nightmares wake up screaming. He sat down on his small cot and looked at the captain with sad eyes. You Zephyrians think you are warriors because you conquered some herbivore species. You think you understand combat because you defeated creatures that had never fought a war before, but you have never faced a species like humanity. Your fleets are being destroyed, Vorthak said. How is that possible if you are so weak? Because, Kellick said quietly, you are not fighting human fleets. You are fighting human ghosts. Ships that do not exist according to your sensors. Weapons that fire from empty space. Soldiers who appear and disappear like shadows. The captain's face went pale. You are lying. Am I? How many of your ships have vanished without a trace? How many of your fleets have been found floating in pieces with no sign of what killed them? Kellic stood up and walked to the cell door. He gripped the bars and looked directly at the captain. Humans do not fight fair, Captain. We fight like viruses. We fight like cancer. We fight like the heat death of the universe itself. Before Vorthak could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the prison. Emergency lights flashed red. Guards ran through the corridors shouting orders. The captain grabbed his communicator and called the command center. What is happening? He demanded. Sir, we are under attack. Ships are appearing from nowhere. They are destroying our defense platforms. Vorthak looked at Kellic with new fear in his eyes. How? We are deep in Zephyrian space. No human ships could reach us here. Captain, Kellic said softly, let me tell you about Admiral Susan Clark. She has been hiding in dark space for 15 years, waiting for this moment. She commands 2,000 ships that your sensors cannot detect. She has been hunting your fleets across the galaxy, and now she has found your homeworld. The prison shook as explosions rocked the surface above. Through the small window in his cell, Kellic could see flashes of light in the sky. Ships were dying up there, but he could not tell which ones. This is impossible, Vorthak whispered. We have the strongest military in the galaxy. No, Kellic replied. You have the strongest military that other species know about. But humans have been preparing for this war for 30 years. We have weapons you cannot imagine. We have soldiers trained from birth to kill. We have ships that exist in the spaces between reality. The captain stumbled backwards. What do you want from us? Kellic's smile disappeared. We want you to stop. We want you to leave our colonies alone. We want you to stop conquering other species. We want you to learn that there are creatures in this galaxy that you should never, ever threaten. Another explosion shook the prison. The lights went out for a moment, then came back on. In the distance, Kellic could hear the sound of energy weapons firing. The thing is, Captain, Kellic continued, we tried to warn you. Ambassador Morrison told your High Commander that he was making a mistake. But you laughed at us. You thought we were weak because we prefer peace to war. The captain's communicator crackled. All units, we are being overrun. The enemy is everywhere. They are in our ships, in our bases, in our cities. We cannot see them, but they can see us. Vorthak looked at the communicator with horror. How is this possible? Because, Kellic said, you declared war on the most deadly species in the galaxy. And now you're going to learn why every other apex predator on Earth went extinct except for us. The prison door suddenly exploded inward. Through the smoke came figures in black armor. Their faces were hidden behind helmets with glowing red eyes. They moved like shadows given form. Dr. Kellic, one of the figures said in a human voice, We are here to take you home. Kellic looked at Captain Vorthak one last time. I tried to warn you, Captain, but you would not listen. Now you will learn what happens when you threaten humanity's children. As the human soldiers led him away, Kellic could hear the captain whispering to himself over and over, This is impossible. This is impossible. This is impossible. But it was not impossible. It was just humanity finally showing the galaxy what they were truly capable of when pushed to war. The final battle took place above the Zephyrian homeworld of Zephyr Prime. High, Commander Vexthal stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Domination, watching his empire die around him. In 2 weeks, the humans had destroyed over 3,000 Zephyrian ships. His mighty fleet was now reduced to a few hundred vessels. Sir, his tactical officer reported, we are detecting movement in the outer system. The human fleet is approaching. Vexthal looked at the main screen. Space seemed empty, but he knew better now. The human ships were there, invisible to his. Sensors, waiting to strike. How many ships? Unknown, sir. We cannot get accurate readings. But based on the quantum signatures, we estimate at least 500 vessels. 500 ships that could not be seen. 500 ships that fought. Like demons from the darkest nightmares. Vexthal felt old and tired. 2 weeks ago, he had been the master of the greatest empire in the galaxy. Now he was the last defender of a dying world. Send a message to the human fleet, he ordered. Tell them I want to speak with their commander. The communications officer worked at her console. Sir, we are receiving a response. Admiral Susan Clark of the Human Ghost Fleet will speak with you. The main screen changed to show a human woman in a black uniform. She was middle-aged with short gray hair and cold blue eyes. Behind her, Vexthal could see a bridge filled with humans in dark armor. They looked like death itself. High Commander Vexthal, Admiral Clark said in a voice like ice. I am Admiral Susan Clark. You wanted to speak with me. Vexthal tried to stand tall, but his legs shook. Admiral, I wish to discuss terms of surrender. Surrender? Clark's expression did not change. You declared war on humanity. You threatened to burn our colonies and kill our people. You laughed at our warnings. Now you want to surrender? Yes, Vexthal said. My fleet is beaten. My empire is destroyed. I offer you the unconditional surrender of all Zephyrian forces. Clark was quiet for a long moment. That is not good enough. What do you mean? 3 hours ago, you ordered your remaining forces to target human civilian populations. You sent raiders to attack our merchant ships and our colony worlds. You tried to use our innocence as shields. Vexthal felt cold fear wash over him. That was a mistake. I was desperate. I did not mean. You meant exactly what you did, Clark interrupted. You showed us what you really are. You showed us that you will target children and families when you cannot defeat soldiers. The Admiral leaned forward in her chair. That was the worst mistake you could have made. Because now we are not just fighting a war. We are conducting an extermination. On the surface of Zephyr Prime, Colonel Tony Martinez led his Shadow Corps through the capital city. The streets were filled with panicked Zephyrians running for shelter. His soldiers moved through the chaos like ghosts, striking only at military targets. Sir, his communications officer said, we have located the Planetary Defense Command Center. It is heavily fortified. Martinez looked at the building through his helmet's display. It was a massive structure with thick walls and heavy weapons. Under normal circumstances, it would take days to capture. But these were not normal circumstances. Deploy the shadow charges, he ordered. His soldiers placed small devices around the building. The devices seemed to bend space around them, creating tears in reality itself. When they exploded, the building simply disappeared, leaving only a crater filled with twisted metal. Target neutralized, Martinez reported, moving to the next objective. In space above the planet, Admiral Clark watched the tactical display. Green dots showed human forces advancing on all fronts. Red dots showed Zephyrian resistance collapsing. The battle was almost over. Admiral, her tactical officer said, we are receiving reports from across the galaxy. All Zephyrian military bases have been destroyed. Their fleets are scattered or destroyed. Their empire no longer exists. Clark nodded. What about the other species they conquered? They are declaring independence. The Altarians have ret.